keep searching for.
Ah, paradise. Whether it's the crystal waters of Bali, the majestic glaciers of Iceland, or the romantic canals of Venice, millions of people dream of visiting these stunning destinations. But here's the catch. Visiting these places just got a little more expensive. Yep, a lot of countries are now charging extra fees for travelers. Tourist taxes. That's right, countries are hiking up tourist taxes. Why? Let's dive in. Because it's not just about money, it's about saving these breathtaking places from being, well, loved to death. So what's going on? Tourism is booming like never before. In fact, globally, over 1.4 billion people traveled internationally last year alone. Countries are seeing huge numbers of visitors, sometimes more than their own population. Let's start with Iceland, known for its bubbling hot springs, glaciers, and yes, lava-spewing volcanoes. Iceland's natural wonders are a huge draw. But with a population of just 400,000 and millions of visitors pouring in each year, they had to do something. So they reinstated their tourist tax that had been on pause during the pandemic. And it's not just small change. The tax on hotel stays doubled this year, now around $4.32 per night. And for the first time, cruise ships stopping in Icelandic ports are being charged. That's right, your cruise adventure just got a little pricier, with a fee of about 1,000 krona or $7.18 per passenger. I know, it's a bummer, but here's the thing. The money raised goes directly toward preserving Iceland's natural beauty. Think of it as a small price to pay to keep those glaciers pristine for future visitors and, to stop the volcanoes from getting too grumpy. But it's not just Iceland. Bali, Venice, New Zealand, Barcelona, these places are all stepping up their game to handle the growing number of tourists. Let's take Bali, for instance. After the pandemic, the island took a serious look at the environmental impact of tourism. Now, every visitor pays about $9.70, and that money goes toward keeping Bali's beaches clean, preserving cultural sites, and, interestingly, funding crackdowns on bad tourist behaviour. Because, let's be real, we've all seen those cringe-worthy stories of tourists behaving badly. Like those folks who climb ancient temples for selfies or ignore local customs. Bali's had enough. They're using this new tax to enforce regulations and remind visitors to respect the island or face the consequences. So, if you're heading to Bali, maybe double-check those local customs. But on a serious note, these funds are crucial for keeping these incredible places beautiful. And hey, no one wants to visit a beach littered with trash, right? Now let's talk Venice, one of the most romantic cities in the world, but also one of the most overrun. Every year, 25 million tourists descend on Venice. Imagine, that's like 70,000 people every day. And while the city's economy thrives on tourism, it's also struggling under the pressure. Can you believe that locals are actually moving away because they feel crowded out of their own city? In response, Venice introduced a €5 fee for day trippers this year. Overnight visitors have already been paying tourist taxes, as high as €25 a night. But now, even if you're just popping in for a quick visit, you'll need to pay up. This fee might seem small, but it adds up fast. Venice pulls in billions from tourism, but the city is literally sinking under the weight of its popularity. Fun fact, Venice was actually the first city in the world to ban large cruise ships from its lagoon back in 2021. Those towering ships were eroding the fragile canals and overwhelming the city with crowds. So, if you're planning a cruise to Venice, you might not dock right in the city anymore. And it's not just Venice. Over in Amsterdam, the city famous for its relaxed vibe and canals is dealing with its own wave of tourism issues. Tourists there now face a 12.5% tax on hotel stays, up from 7%. And if you're just popping in for a cruise, well, it's €14 for you. Amsterdam has also cracked down with a Stay Away campaign, aimed at discouraging nuisance tourists who, let's just say, enjoy Amsterdam a little too much. And it's not just taxes. Amsterdam has banned the construction of new hotels and is capping the number of overnight stays to keep things under control. Basically, they're saying, enjoy your time, but don't overstay your welcome. And how about the UK? They've joined the trend too. they have introduced an electronic travel authorization. It's kind of like the US ESTA, but it applies to tourists from all over the world. By the end of 2024, even visitors from countries like the United States and Europe will need to apply for this before they visit. And although it's more about border security, it'll cost €10 or $13. So technically, a kind of tourist tax, right? Oh, and I have to tell you about Barcelona. Locals there staged a protest over the summer against over-tourism, and get this, they sprayed tourists with colourful water pistols. It was all in good fun, but the message was clear. Respect our city, or you might just get soaked. Barcelona's tourist tax is going up this year too, with an additional €4 fee per night for lodging. I mean, who knew visiting a country would feel like filing taxes? But in all seriousness, these new rules are popping up for good reasons. New Zealand, another one of those bucket list destinations, also has its sights set on managing tourism better. Known for its jaw-dropping landscapes made famous by The Lord of the Rings, New Zealand's once lonely beaches and small towns are now seeing huge crowds. To protect its environment, the country introduced a $35 tourist tax in 2019. But starting October 2024, they're nearly tripling that amount to $61. So if you're planning a hike to Mount Doom, be prepared to pay up. But let's be real, New Zealand is worth every penny. And it's not like Australians or Pacific Islanders have to worry. They're exempt from the tax. Lucky them. And for those wondering, tourist taxes aren't some new trend. France, the birthplace of many trends, introduced one of the first tourist taxes back in 1910. It started with taxes on resorts, and over the decades, the idea spread around the globe. Nowadays, over 60 countries charge some kind of tourist tax. Even the US has local taxes. Ever notice that extra charge on your hotel bill? Yep, that's a form of tourist tax too. But let's talk about the country with one of the biggest tourist fees in the world, Bhutan. This tiny Himalayan kingdom charges around $100 a day for visitors. Why? To keep Bhutan's natural beauty intact. It's a way to limit the number of tourists and protect the environment from the kind of overcrowding seen in nearby Nepal. So, what's the takeaway here? Tourism taxes might seem like an annoyance, but they're a crucial tool for managing over-tourism and preserving the magic of these incredible places. And if you're planning to visit one of these countries, it's something to budget for. But honestly, it's a small price to pay if it means preserving these incredible places for future generations. So the next time you're strolling through Venice or hiking in New Zealand, take pride in knowing you're helping preserve these wonders for years to come. Now, we want to hear from you. Have you ever paid a tourist tax? Do you think these fees are worth it, or do they feel like an unnecessary expense? Is it fair to charge tourists extra for conservation, or should it be on the government's tab? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We are really curious to hear your take on this. If you enjoyed this video and want more travel tips, destination guides, or just cool facts about the world, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss a thing. We've got plenty of adventures coming your way. Thanks for watching. Until the next adventure, safe travels.